All right, we just saw you. All right. George, I'm going to go ahead and hang up here since you are on the screen. All right. All right, I just hung up. Says he's connecting the audio.
Awesome. Hey, how's it going, George? Can you hear us?
Give us a. All right. Can you hear us, George?
Yep, I can.
All right.
Let me see. It sounded like we got this going. Let me see if I can turn it up a little bit. I got my hearing aids on. I know there's a button here somewhere. Where'd it go? There it is. All right, try that.
All right. We can hear you and see you perfectly. So I'm Daniel.
Okay. You're Daniel. Okay, nice to see you, Daniel.
Yep.
Nice
And I'm Eric. Nice to meet you.
Oh, there's Eric. He's on the other screen over here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there you are. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Right. Well, really glad we're doing this, and it's great to put a face to the name. You know,
Yeah.
you probably feel the same.
Yeah, I tell people it's I'm dealing real estate with people in California. I don't know who they are. Yeah, but you want to, yeah, hey, they keep sending the check. As long as you keep sending the check, I'm happy.
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah, cool. So we got a number of questions. The meeting is, because there's 3 people, it's only 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But we'll get through all these. So Eric, if you'd want to start it off with the first one.
Okay, awesome. So introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, and how did you get introduced to us?
Gee, that's a good question. My name is George Breesacker. Currently, I live in Elkhart, Indiana, and I think it was a phone call somewhere along the line when I was trying to sell a piece of property, and I believe you people called me and said you had a deal for me, and so I examined that, and it seemed to be a pretty good deal, so it's working out fine.
Awesome.
Good.
Yep.
So thank you, George. So next question, you actually tried to list this property a few years back and it didn't sell. We wanted to know, what was your experience like listing the property and what happened leading up to us doing business together?
Yeah, it didn't sell. I listed it and not a lot of takers on it, and I thought it was fairly priced, and so nothing much was happening. So again, I've had several people call or send me postcards or letters wanting to, hey, we'll buy your house, cash, whatever, and those people kind of steer clear of. But when I talk to you folks on the phone, you kind of laid out a brief description of it, and I said, okay, let me see the contract. And when we got the contract, and so we negotiated some of that contract, and when that worked out okay, then we set up the deal, and it's been working out fine for me.
Okay. During the beginning stages of this process, did you ever think, what if I don't get paid?
Sure, I did. But then I looked at the contract, and if you don't send the checks, I will foreclose or I will cancel that contract. I mean, I looked at the contract and carefully, and I've read contracts before. This isn't new to me. But anyway, and we did talk some about the contract, the way it was worded. We changed a few words here and there, but when we were done, why, it was acceptable, and I thought it was a fair deal. And you people apparently think it was a fair deal for you too. So win-win situation.
Yeah, that's what we shoot for. Eric, did you want to touch on like the second part of that question if it's necessary?
Yeah, we could just mention it. Well, yeah, of course, just if something was to happen, we do have cash reserves too as well, just to make sure that you always get your check every single month. So we did just want to mention that, just to throw that in there.
Yeah. We did have a problem one time, and it wasn't your problem, it was mine. I had come up to Indiana from Florida, and I was away and had my mail forwarded, and typically those checks are not forwarded, they're sent back. And so I didn't get the check. Well, as soon as I notified you that, hey, I didn't get the check, and I knew the reason why was because they didn't forward it, they sent it back. And when I notified you, the you made it right just within a few days. It was just, I got a new check. And so that worked out for me. It helps with the confidence, if the
Yeah.
checks come promptly every month, then to tell you the truth, it makes me very confident that our continuing relationship's working out okay.
Yeah. I appreciate you mentioning that, George. I, of course, very much remember that because it was me and you directly communicating on that with the mail forwarding and that little hiccup. And then as soon as you told me it was that same day, I just issued a new one. So yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for mentioning that. Eric, do you want to get the next question?
Sure. So what made you decide to go with us versus the other people that were giving you offers? And what was your determining factor to move forward?
Like I say, a review of the contract, and to me, after a discussion, when I found out that the way the contract was worded and my responsibilities versus your responsibilities, it worked out great for me because I was living in Florida and this house is in South Bend, Indiana. There's no way I could be a landlord from 1,000 miles away. And I wanted to sell it, but there wasn't any takers to sell it. But then you guys came along and it was a rent to own. And I thought, well, yeah, you got 3 years to pick up the option. And either, if you don't buy it, well, I get it back. And it's, that's the way the contract reads. And, but I assume you're going to buy it. Why not? Ouch, got a Charlie horse in my leg. Anyway, looking at the contract, the way it's spelled out, why I don't have any problem with it, and it's working fine for me.
Yeah. So you had your lawyer review the lease option agreement, the rent to own agreement.
Yes,
Even though your lawyer suggested a number of changes, we made the few necessary changes that would still allow the deal to work. At the end of this is the main question. At the end of the day, was it your lawyer or yourself that made the final decision to move forward?
I did. Yeah, without a doubt. Lawyers are advisors. They're not decision makers.
Well said.
Exactly. Yes. So you're a very strong-minded individual. Most people would allow their lawyer to make all the decisions for them. So why didn't you do that?
Why didn't I? Oh, gee whiz. I guess I felt confident that the way the contract was written, even though he had some hesitations about it, that it didn't, it wasn't that critical. What he was suggesting was, it wasn't that much for me. So I just said, hey, we'll go along with what we got. With the changes that were made, it was acceptable. And I don't remember exactly what he was saying, but anyway, it was not critical.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Next one, what has your experience been like so far since we have initiated the contract?
Been very good. I mean, I am very happy with it. Like I say, my responsibility of the property, I don't have any anymore because other than paying the taxes and the insurance, which I keep up on the property. And I did that myself because I wanted to make sure it was paid. I didn't know whether you guys take on this contract and then all of a sudden you don't pay the insurance and I have a house with no insurance and it catches fire. I said, that wouldn't be good. Or if you don't pay the taxes and they come along and want to repossess it or confiscate it, whatever they do. Anyway, since I wanted to be responsible for those because I know they're being paid. And so the rest of it was just, the option part and interest and what have you. So, but I wanted those two things to be my responsibility just for my peace of mind.
Certainly. And thank you for mentioning those about the property taxes and insurance.
Yeah.
Definitely. And the next question is, have we paid on time every month?
Absolutely. Every month. I haven't, other than the one time which wasn't your fault. It was the fact that the post office didn't forward the mail.
Mhm.
Other than that, it's been on time every month. So I don't have any problem with that at all.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Eric, do you want to go ahead and just take the next one too?
Yes. And how are you paid?
With a check.
Okay. Great. And then have we stayed true to our word on what we said we would do thus far?
As far as I can tell, you're paying me in the house. I drove by it, a couple of months ago. I was up here and I drove by it. There's somebody living in. I don't know what you folks do with it. I'm dealing with you. Whoever's living in the house, I don't know who it is. Don't care, to tell you the truth. That's your responsibility.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things of the contract. I didn't want to have to be responsible for, oh, gee, the refrigerator quit. I don't care if the refrigerator quit. You guys care whether the refrigerator quits and that kind of thing. So being 1,000 miles away, there wasn't much I could do about it anyway. So yeah, it's working out great. You pay on time. And as far as I can tell, whoever's living in the house is happy. They don't call me because they don't even know who I am, I presume.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
All right. Next one. What would you say to a homeowner like yourself who may be asking themselves, are these guys real? Is this a scam? What would you say to someone who may be thinking that?
Yeah, and I can understand because there's a lot of people out there trying to rip you off. But when the contract became effective when the money started coming in, and that was the key thing. The first check came and it was a good check, and I said, okay, so it builds your confidence, not knowing exactly who you were, but I had a contract, and then I considered the contract to be a valid contract. If it wasn't, you can't take my house and run off to California with it. So I knew that.
And George, I just want to touch on something you said. It's probably a given. We all know what you mean, but can you explain what you mean by a good check? Like the check was good?
Oh, when I put it in the bank, it don't bounce.
Yeah.
It every time put the check in there, it's a valid check, and the bank has no problem, and the funds end up in the bank when it clears the bank. I've never had a problem with that.
Yeah. And just to give a brief little bit of background, because I know what it is, Eric knows what it is. You receive it in your own two hands every single month. It's not a check that I even write. It's automatically generated from our business bank account. So it's like a computer generated check that gets automatically sent to you. So I haven't manually sent you a check ever. It's always a recurring thing. Like it's set up on my end as a recurring thing every single month.
I don't know whether you're a corporation or not, but it appears to be a corporate check or that kind of a business check, not a personal check. So
correct. Yeah.
Really
Um,
awesome. And then we have a really good question here. So how has this relationship with us benefited your life and made your life easier? Also, how has this given you the freedom to focus on other things?
Well, number one, the rental properties can be a headache. And if you're either, if you're having a problem selling it, you got to pay a realtor to sell. I've been a realtor, so the hat didn't fit very well, but at least ways I gave it a try because I was buying and rehabbing houses and renting houses, and so I thought it'd be best to be a real estate agent, but it just wasn't my forte. And so anyway, it helps me in the fact that I don't have to worry about that piece of property. It's insured, the taxes are paid, and I keep getting the monthly income from it. And to me, I don't have a lot of responsibility. And it's very easy on the mind. And like I say, I lived 1,000 miles away from that piece of property, and there was much I could do. If if you're going to be a landlord and you live 1,000 miles away, then you got to get a management company to run it, and then there goes most of your profit because you don't, it just costs too much to do that. And if you need repairs, you got to trust somebody else to do it. And so as far as ease of mind, I love it. I mean, to tell you the truth, it just, I don't have to think about that piece of property, and the income comes in every month, and I'm happy as a clam. So that's
Good
a
to hear.
Florida expression.
Great to hear.
All right. And I believe this is the last question. What would you say to other homeowners that are interested in doing a lease option, a similar deal like we did, that are unsure and that are on the fence due to what their friends and family may think or say? What would you say to homeowners like that?
Well, it works for me. That's what I can say. I did my due diligence and examined the contract and tried to determine how things were going to go. And the way the contract was written was that if you don't pay, then you lose the option, which, and like I say, you can't run off with the house. So
Yeah.
it's the kind of thing that if you default, if you don't pay, if there's a problem somewhere that we can't resolve, then the contract becomes void and you get the house back. That's, until the end of the contract, whereby you either buy the place or walk away. And so that's, it's, to me, it's a great way of doing business. Especially, I'm old and I just don't want to mess with it anymore. So I still have one other property down in Florida, but it's I've got it rented, but the renter's been in there for years, and she's old. She's probably going to die one of these days. But it was property that I used myself for several years. We snowbirded down there. But again, if something came up, that piece of property, I might do the same thing with it. But right now, it's working out okay. So
Definitely.
I'm very confident. And my relationship with you has been going on for a year almost, and it's working out fine. So I don't know. I guess you got to put trust somewhere. But like I say, if you defaulted, if you didn't pay, if for some reason things went awry, you can't take the house to California with you. So yeah, there might be resolutions. I had a house one time I sold on a contract, and they defaulted on the contract. Well, it cost me like $8,000 in lawyer fees to get it back. But then by the time I got done with it, well, I sold it for $20,000 more than the first time. So, I got my lawyer paid off. So anyway, but there's those kind of situations, but you trust the contract. That's what they're for. Do your due diligence on your contracts, make sure they say what they say and they do what they do. And if that's the case, then you shouldn't have a problem. Anything else? I don't mind talking to you about it. It's worked out great for me.
Yeah. I guess one thing just from the end of it, again, this is a given between the three of us. We all know this. You're saying like, in case we defaulted, we can't take the house and run off to California. I mean, we're already in California and the house is there.
Yeah.
Who still owns the house? Who has legal title to the property still?
Do. Right now, I own the house. You have an option. You have an option to purchase it, but I own the title to the property. I've not signed over any titles, deeds, or any such thing.
Yes.
You have an option to buy it, and I'm happy with that. You're happy with that, and like I say, at the end of 3 years, our contract expires, and at that time, you either pay off the rest of the house or I get it back, one or the other. So. It sounds great to me. And like I said, I still hold title to the property.
What were your main concerns before we did the lease, the lease option to purchase, essentially? I wanted to just rephrase that question.
Yeah, well, the problem at the time was I was living in Florida. The property is in South Bend, Indiana. To try and rent it was just going to be an issue. And trying to sell it, I wasn't getting many takers on it, and people just didn't have any money. It wasn't an expensive house, but some of the folks, they thought you were going to give it to them, and to tell you the truth, the sales just weren't happening. And so when we got together and you contacted me, and I said, well, let me see what you got, because I'd never done a lease option before. Well, I guess I did. I did a lease option on a property I had myself, and that when the option expired, but then the guy wanted to buy the property anyway, and it had expired for 6 months. He was renting the place, and after, I don't know, the option had expired. Well, he come back and said, well, I want to buy it. And I told him, well, since a couple of years back when we had the option, the price has gone up another 10 grand. And he said, I'll take it anyway. So he had the money to buy it, and that worked out fine for him and fine for me. The option is the option. It's not done until it's done. So anyway, that was the concern, was trying to really eliminate a headache of trying to either keep the house vacant, which is not a good plan, because first off, you get no income from it. Secondly, vandals, what have you, all kinds of issues can have with a vacant property. And it worked out after we had our discussions, and I reviewed the contract and saw what you're saying you're going to do. And so initially, I had some concerns. Well, we'll see what, after the checks started rolling in, why my concerns went away. I haven't even thought about that property. That's the deal. It's no worries. And right now I got enough worries. Finding a house. I tell people I'm homeless, I own 3 properties all paid for, and now I'm homeless because I sold my one property down in Florida, and my main property I was living in, but we're living with my son right now looking for a house. So anyway, it's worked out great for me.
Definitely. And then just to get a little bit more clarity, what is this giving you like more free time to do exactly? Like, do you golf? What are some things that you like to do?
No, I work.
Oh, just work.
My hobby is fixing things. It's like down in Florida, I had a workshop down there, and I repaired, you name it, weed eaters, weed whackers, mowers, backhoes, generators, air compressors, you name it. I worked on all that stuff, and that's what I do. It's a hobby, but and it was kind of a ministry for me, because I didn't tell people how much to pay me. I tell them, they brought their mower over, and I fixed it, and I had $25 worth of parts, and it took me like 3 hours. So pay me what you want. And some people, there were things like the widow ladies in the church, they didn't have any money, and I didn't care whether they paid me or not. And sometimes they couldn't. But other people from the area around there were well off, and they didn't mind paying really well. So that's what I do with my spare time, but I'm slowing down. I'm 80 years old now.
Definitely.
Feel good for 80.
Yes.
Looking great for 80, sir.
I feel good, got traveling aches and pains. My knee hurt today and my hip tomorrow, but they go away. So
As long as you feel good, that's what matters.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. So that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, it's nice meeting you folks, and it's good to put a face to some of the Daniel there. I talked to him before, and so good to talk with you. I'm happy with the contract and with the service we're having, and it's working out for me. And I've got no complaints at all.
Perfect.
Okay.
I think we'll wrap it up there.
Thank you so much, Coach.